All right. So good morning, and welcome to our objection handling. I think honestly, this is probably one of my this one in closing techniques, but I love teaching objections because if you think about it, any general realtor's never learned how to really handle an objection. I mean, they just don't even have classes for it. The board doesn't really do much about it. And it's something that we do all the time, right? As realtors, they ask you a question, you got to know how to handle the objection and when to handle it and know if it is an objection, because the worst thing is when you get that deer in a headlight look, and that's never a good thing because you've just lost all trust. It's one thing if you're a buyer's agent, everyone's excited and it's about emotion. If you're in a listing presentation, you have to be the expert, right? So they ask you a question, you don't know the answer, you could lose all credibility in 1 second. So handling objections is important for both working with buyers or sellers, but I think it's critical, especially when you're on a listing presentation, that you know how to handle an objection. The other thing that is really important about handling objections is helping people make decisions. A lot of times people think an objection is a no. They think saying, whatever the objection is they're rejecting the whole idea. It's not a rejection. Really, these are people, they're saying, I need more information. That's a great thing, right? Because the fact of the matter is, if we don't know what they're not getting, by the end of it, they're going to get, I have to think about it. Whatever it is, buying, selling, I have to think about it. If you get to, I have to think about it, that means that you did not go through your job trying to figure out if they have objections. And you don't want to wait till the end, right? There's a lot of people, and I'll talk about it in the closing class, but they'll say, is there any reason you don't want to buy with me today? They think they're getting objections out. First of all, why would you say that? Now you've got in their mind that you don't want to work with you. I mean, it's like really weird. Don't ever say that. I will shoot anybody who says that. That is not a good thing to say, okay? But the time to get all those objections is not when you're there at the closing question. You're too late. You have to figure out as you go, you have to work your way through the objections. It should be a fluid process. So if you guys have questions, please pipe in, because if not, I'm just going to keep on rolling. Okay. There are two kinds of objections, and people don't really get that. So can anyone give me an example of what a stall is?
Maybe somebody's wasting time, not wasting time, but trying to get more time because their approval really isn't an approval.
Okay, so Tony said maybe people are trying to waste, kind of buy some time because their approval really isn't an approval. That could be a stall. A stall is anything that they're trying to throw up a smoke screen. They don't want you to see what the real objection is. So they throw these things at you guys. Anybody been to either with a buyer or seller and you feel like you're playing, ping pong? You're like, oh my God, this thing's never going to end. They throw something back. They're probably giving you a bunch of smoke screens, which are stalls, because they don't want you to find out what the true objection is. The other thing, which is something we really need to understand, is conditions. A condition is something that is actually real. So for example, to your point, Tony, if they can't get approved for a mortgage, that's a condition. Can you buy a home if you don't have the cash and you can't get a mortgage? No, right? Can you sell your home if you're in the middle of the divorce and both parties don't agree?
No.
No, that's the condition. Can you purchase a home, or should you, is a better question, if you're getting a divorce? Probably not, right? Because you want the other party on it. So these are true conditions. So it's important to understand there's both. Sometimes they're trying to hide what the real objections are because they don't even know themselves. Other times it may be a situation that they're just, there's something really as an impediment to the sale. So you just have to understand that is a real objection. These are the steps. I want you to take a picture of these, get to know these, have these with you at all times. If you go through each one of these steps, I promise you, you will be able to handle any objection. The steps are here for a reason. If you don't go through each step, you're going to have trouble handling that objection. And it seems simple and it seems easy. And it is if you follow the steps. So if you did wake me in the middle of the night and throw me an objection, I would still go through all those steps. It is ingrained in my body. There's nothing I could do. And that's how it has to become. And guys, we could talk about it all day long. I could tell you examples, and we're going to do that. But the reality is, the way you get good at handling objections is practicing. You've got to role play, right? It's all about, you're in a room, you hear us role playing, you're like, oh, that sounds good. Have to remember that. It's a very different thing when you're in the hot seat and you have to say it. You're like, what was that thing? that was really good. I don't remember. So it is critical that you practice role playing. So that's why I was hoping we'd have a lot of people in the room. Sadly, we don't. Thank you, Mr. Tony, for being here. Appreciate it. Woo, woo. Who's that?
That's Maria.
Oh, right. Maria Smith, and she's on the phone. Okay. We can make her. We can make YouTube practice sessions. Okay. But these are the steps. There's 6 of them. Don't miss them. They seem super easy. They seem pretty logical, but let's talk about the first one. Hear it, actually. Hearing it is really important for empathy. They have to feel you understood what the question was. A lot of us, listen, before you do this, there's only so many objections. Honestly, we hear the same objections. They can dress it up any way they want, but they're always the same objections, So it's great because it makes it fun to deal with. But the problem is, because we already know maybe how we want to deal with it, we want to jump in and get started, right? And now they feel like we're not listening to them. So even myself, I actually count to 5 while they're talking, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Lean in. You want to actively listen. Yeah, shake your head. They love that. You're getting it in. I count to 5 because that's me listening to them. The reality is, I already heard it. You don't even have to say the rest of your sentence. I know what the question is. It's the same question I hear all the time, but you can't do that. So that's hear it. And it's funny. I do a lot of times throughout my career doing this. I love this objection handling showdown when we break up the room. And one of my agents, Christy Keene, those of you who know her, she's been with builders for years and years and years. And we have so much fun role playing together, but that is her evil nemesis. She does not want to wait. She's ready to go. She's like, I'm ready. I know the answer. You cannot be that. You have to act as if, even though you're ready to go. Okay, so don't pounce. I think, Rafe, I could imagine you be a pouncer. So breathe in, take it in. Okay, cushion it. This is critical that you do this correctly. So many people, okay, this is again letting them understand that you hear them. I can see how that could be important. I appreciate how you feel. Yes, that's great. No, right? Never agree here. The pitfall of the cushioning is, I can see how that would be important to you versus, oh, that makes sense. If that makes sense, how I'm going to handle that objection? I just told them they're right. Right? I can't. I'm done. Like, that's over. So the cushion it, I like the appreciate how you feel. I could see how that could be important to you. Or if they're an auditory person, I hear what you're saying. Absolutely, right? You could talk about that, but you cannot agree. You're acknowledging. Mr. Bruno,
good morning.
How are you? So the importance here is the acknowledgement, okay? Everybody good with that? Moving on. Question it. This one is so critical because this is for us to find out the real objection. The people who go, it's so funny. I love when I watch beginner objection handlers because maybe they do the hear it, right? Maybe they even do a cushion it, fabulous. And then they go right into answer it because they think they know the answer, right? And they might have a good one, but they didn't go through the question it. So they're not truly sure what the real objection is. Many times that objection starts with, oh, I don't like the master bedroom being too small. And it turns out to be this house costs too much money. And so I'm going to pick out every little thing, right? A lot of times comes out of money. So don't handle every little objection. It's important that we go through each scenario with them to figure out what it is really that they're saying. So learn some of these. So I like this one to make sure I understand you. Can you share with me? Help me understand for the sake of clarity. If I'm hearing you correctly, you want them to clarify that that's the true objection. We're going to walk through this, but these are just the steps. Answer it. Okay, so once you get to the true objection, so Tony, throw me an objection.
For a seller or buyer?
I don't care.
I don't like the garage facing the street. I kind of like the garage side.
Okay, did you guys hear that? He says he doesn't like the garage facing the street. He likes the garage facing sideways. I can appreciate how that could be important to you. But just to make sure I understand, what is it about the garage being sideways that concerns you?
Just like curb appeal. Like I just want, I don't want, that it looks like it just kind of takes off part of the way that house looks. Like, maybe if I had one that had a side wrap, maybe a window, it would be pretty.
So it's all about the look of the home. It has nothing to do with the functionality. So even if it was a side home, you thought it looked pretty, you can't get into the car. That would be okay with you?
Oh, no, I don't want to get in the car too.
Right? You're going to really question down. Mm-hmm. Okay, you following me? So if it was a car, it has a straight garage, it's not a side garage, it was very accessible and was exactly the home you wanted, would you be okay with going with that home? Or is that like a top must-have thing for you that it has to have a side garage?
No, it's not a top.
Okay, so now we're getting down to the reality of it. He doesn't like the house for XYZ reason. Probably it costs too much money. And so he's throwing an objection immediately. Husband and wives often are not on the same page. You guys notice that? And you take them out, and sometimes they fight. That's always really, really fun. I love those. So we have to get down to what it really is that the true objection is. So if I really get down to what the true objection is, okay, it's about looks. So he's an esteemed buyer. He wants to make sure that everybody thinks his house is the best. That's what it's down to from what we got, right? It was kind of a bogus kind of a objection, but there's different ways that you can handle this objection.
My wife says all my objections are bogus.
His wife says all of his objections are bogus. That's funny. Okay, so you could reduce it to the ridiculous. We're going to go through what these are: dilute it, testimonial, change the focus, or trade-off. So let's look at some of these. Reduced to the ridiculous is one of my favorites. You've got, for example, two homes that are close in price, maybe $15,000 apart. That probably could be what that comes. So Tony, if I could find you a home that was just like the way you wanted, had everything in it, but it had that sidecar, it had that straight garage, not the sidecar garage, but it was $15,000 less, would you go with it?
Ooh, I would consider it, absolutely.
So we know it's money, right?
Yeah.
So then let's look at the fact of that $15,000. You're going to do a 30-year mortgage, right?
Yes.
You take your phone and you say, okay, so $15,000 divided by 30, that's 500 a year. Now there's 12 months in a year. That's 4160. And there's 31 days in a year. Let's just go with 30 days, 29 days, whatever. So that's about $1.38 a day. So if this was the home that made Sherry completely happy, it had that gourmet kitchen that she wanted, it had that beautiful outdoor pool area that you wanted where you could sit and watch fireworks at night, are you really not going to buy Sherry the house she wants for $1.38 a day?
Of course I am. I just want to drink Starbucks, but that's okay.
Right? That's the reduced to the ridiculous. Anybody have a question with that? This works really good with a seller. You're at a price, you know, they're stuck in a price. And say that you need a price decrease, and let's say it is 15,000. And you ask them about what they're going to use that 15,000 for, right? Because had they already picked out their new home, is that $15,000 going to be the difference? You know, so if you basically just got an espresso machine, heck, if I gave you one for a closing gift, then you don't have to go to Starbucks anymore. Would that make up the difference with the 15,000? Then you could get up there to Tennessee and be with your grandbabies when they're born. Would that make sense to you, right? You can use this reduced to the ridiculous for a buyer or a seller. Someone have a question? Anybody? No? Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, I see Miss Rosanna. Hi, Rosanna.
Hello.
Okay, so everybody understand the reduced to the ridiculous? Good?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Dilute it. This would, like, his thing would be a perfect example for a dilute it. In the grand scheme of things, would you really walk away from the home that had that amazing kitchen with the double ovens that Sherry's been dreaming of?
Yes.
And that backyard pool that you said you couldn't live without, and a bonus, a view of the fireworks at night, for a garage that's not sideways?
How much time am I going to spend in the garage anyway?
How much time is he going to spend looking at his garage anyway, right? That's a dilute. You take whatever seems to be the big issue and you put it into the grand scheme of things, and it suddenly seems extremely small. It's like something I do with my kids all the time when they get like worried about something. You know, they don't understand. They get so micro, right? You're like, guys, in the grand scheme of things, that means like this much. That's your dilute, okay? Feel, felt, found. Guys, a favorite. This is a go-to for me. Okay, anybody know how the feel, felt, found goes? Anyone want to try one? Okay, Tony, you gotta put your speaker on.
Okay.
Here, I'll mute mine. Hold on. Let me mute myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay, now you try it.
Okay, good. All right, so you have to give me the objection, and then I'll do the final stuff.
You know, I really wanted a house that had a big backyard, and I know I could put a pool in here, but it's much smaller than I wanted. So I really wanted that big backyard. Oh, wait.
You know,
Oh, wait. Did you all hear my objection?
Yes.
Okay.
Carrie, I definitely understand how you feel, because, backyards are probably where we're gonna spend most of our time.
Okay. What? Hold on. Guys, what did he just do right there?
He agreed with you.
Yeah, you're dead in the water, my friend. You just agreed with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can appreciate how that could be important,
I appreciate it.
right? But you're right. Most people spend all their time in the backyard. Why do we need to continue? You're right. Let's move on to the next house. This house does not work for me. Okay, you're so cute, but I appreciate you trying. That was awesome. Okay, let's try that one more time. Go ahead.
I can appreciate how you feel, because we do spend a lot of times in our backyard. I appreciate how you feel.
Okay,
I
you know what?
probably would feel the same way
Okay.
if I were in your shoes.
Okay. I'm just poor kid. It's like I put him up for the wolves to get him.
This is
Okay.
good. This is good.
Okay, so I'm gonna help him on this one, and then we're gonna try some role playing. Okay, a felt found. First of all, you were trying to do the whole steps and then you jumped to it. You couldn't do that because after the, I can see where I can appreciate how that could be important to you. Just to make sure I understand, what you're really saying is that you want to spend a lot of time outdoors and you don't think you can do what you want to in this space. Right? Like, let's get to the real question. Then let's say, really, yeah, I want to put in the pool and I want to have a jacuzzi and I don't know that I can fit the jacuzzi, right? So here's the feel found. It can never be about you. Put that anywhere you want to, write it everywhere. It can never be about you. As soon as it's about you, it's over. They don't trust you anyway. You're the salesperson. You just want them to get in the house. It has to be about somebody else. Here's the feel found. Tony, I know, I can understand exactly how you feel. It's so funny. I was just talking to Sue and Tom. They bought a home for me a year ago and they felt the same way. It was the house of their dreams. They loved everything about it. Even the color was perfect, but they felt that the backyard was going to be a little too small for them. And you know what they found? They found that it is so hot here in Florida. They so infrequently go in the home, and they were so happy they didn't put that jacuzzi in because of the electricity cost to actually run the jacuzzi would have really thrown up their budget. So they have a pool, they take a dip, and they go right back inside. Do you think that could work for you too?
Yes.
Right? Felt, found. I understand how you feel. They felt the same exact way, but what they found works every time. Anybody want to try one? Felt, found? Come on, Rafe. I know you've done felt, found.
I was going to say, I understand how you feel. My parents felt the same way when I helped them buy their home. But what they found was that the cost of upkeep and maintenance on a backyard became more than they really wanted to tackle.
Nice. I knew you'd be able to do that. I love people who are in sales. Yes, beautiful. Again, though, I would stay away from your parents. Guys, Sue and Tom are my cousins, and they just always come to my mind. But it doesn't matter, Sally and Harry. I don't care who you say. Just have some go-tos. It doesn't even matter really that it's the exact. If you've done this for any period of time, we've heard this, we've seen this, it has happened. Somebody have a question? No? Okay. But the critical thing with the felt found is to make it about somebody else that has no relation to you, so they don't feel as if you're trying to lead them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anyone else want to try a felt found? Nobody brave enough. Luce, I see you. Come on, girl. Try it.
Okay. I can appreciate how you feel about that, about the backyard. That happened to me actually with one of my clients, Maria, last year, and she find out that she doesn't spend as much time outside, especially during the summer, and she really enjoyed the house because it was brand new. So
Good. See, super
Mhm.
easy, guys. We've worked with people for years. We know people who have had similar things, and it is true. The backyard always cracks me up. That usually is like a big objection to people. And here's another one. I know exactly how you feel. I can completely understand. And Marianne and Bob felt the same way. I was just talking to them recently, and Bob thanked me. He pulled me aside and said, "Thank you so much, Carrie, for helping us go with purchasing the home that fit us exactly what we're looking for in the inside, because I hate mowing this lawn. As a matter of fact, I want to concrete the whole thing because it is so hot out here, and just to get that little mower doesn't make sense to have a big driving mower. It is the worst thing." I'm so happy we went with the inside of the house. Listen, that's another one. That's a true story. How many people have ever mowed a lawn here in Florida? Horrible. Horrible. Listen, we pay for maintenance keepers because God knows I'm not taking that lawnmower around. Hell no. So it is hot out there, guys. So there's a lot of things you can come up there. Okay, so those are, we did reduce to the ridiculous, the diluted, the feel, felt, found. They'll change the focus to another benefit. Okay, so that would be, I know that you love this garage, but let me ask you, I know that, for example, Tony, I understand that you really wanted to have a side garage because you like how it feels. But the fact that this garage actually is extra long, and you actually have space for that workbench, where in the other homes we saw with the side garage, because of the way that the lot was situated, they actually had to be a little shorter, and you couldn't really fit in a workbench. Do you think it makes more sense to, yes, you have to drive straight in, but have more room to have that workbench?
Fantastic. Yeah, it does. And plus, my wife's not the best driver anyway.
Did you guys hear that? His wife's not the best driver anyway.
Don't watch this recording.
Sure, he's just kidding. Okay, there you go. So yeah, but that is a change the focus to another benefit, right? And trade-off is a similar thing, but when you're doing a trade-off, yeah, maybe you have to give a little here, but is it worthwhile to give up that aesthetic of that sidecar garage to save $15,000 in the bottom line? I mean, if it's about money, guys, that's the easiest one ever, right? So that's a trade-off. Okay, any questions on those? Those are actually objection handling techniques, which are forms of closes, to be honest, but they're just more like working, okay? Any questions about that? So you said that. Now what's the next step? Anybody? Nobody.
No.
You got to confirm it. You got to make sure that it does make sense. You might think you did a bang up job, and they'd be looking at you like, yeah, I don't really care about what Sue and Tom felt because I plan to spend every day outside in my yard, right? So you have to ask them, does that make sense to you? Now, when you do the doesn't it, shouldn't it, wouldn't it, couldn't it, right? That's a trial close. Those always work. You know, that answers your question, doesn't it? That really would work for you. Can you agree with how they're feeling? You know, wouldn't you agree with how they're feeling? Wouldn't, couldn't it? So basically the confirmation is a trial close. You're testing to see if what you said makes sense to them. And if they're like, yeah, no, not really, guess what? Time to go back to work. More than likely, it's not in your answer. You didn't get the true objection. That's the reality, right? If they're like, yeah, but la, 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 more than likely, whatever they say next could be the true objection or could be another smoke screen. And this is why that section of questioning it, really digging down into that question is the most important. Okay. Now you got to close, because just because you confirm that made sense to them doesn't mean you can move on yet. You've got to close them on this scenario, because if you don't close now, it will come back up. These are people, I'm sure it's none of you guys who are on this call, but there are agents who go show homes. Let's say they showed 5 homes in a day, right? They get to that last home, which they think is totally perfect. And this is the objection. Well, if only I could have the kitchen from the first house, the master suite from the second house, and the backyard from the last house, right? That means you didn't do your job. You didn't close in each house. You need to close before you move on, because if you don't, that's what you're going to get. So if you thought you closed this about this garage and you're like, okay, so how much should we put down? And they go, yeah, but it's got that side. It doesn't have that sidecar garage. That means you didn't do a good job handling this. So you've got to close this. So this is important. Now, again, we have trial closes and we have tie downs. The tie downs are, they're testing their temperature. They're seeing if what we're saying makes sense, right? They're going through those things. The seeking agreement is a harder close. Okay, that's a more of a real close. So does that make sense to you? Is this what you had in mind? Is this the type of communication you were looking for? Is this the level of service and exposure you were expecting? These are trial closes, right? Here's your tie downs. If it has an NT, it is a tie down, right? Momentum close. These are so much fun. We don't want to go through all the closes though. There's a lot of closes. We're going to go through closes next time. Okay. But what I want us to do is go back and let's look at one of these objections here. Okay. Oh, I love this one. You don't handle many homes in our price range. Okay, so we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to leave on the steps of handling the close. Excuse me, of handling objection. Here they are. And who will be the first person who wants to handle that with me? Or you could tell me if you want me to handle the objection or you handle the objection. You could either throw it, be the seller, or I'll be the seller. If I let you pick, if I don't have to pick on you, you get to pick which one you get to be. If I have to pick on you, then I'm going to guess. Okay, who's going to do it?
I think Kelly Whitaker.
Kelly Whitaker, did you raise your hand, my friend? Can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. I just got back in from taking my puppy out.
Oh, good. Perfect timing. You ready to play a game with me?
Okay.
Can you put your screen on? Is that possible?
Yes.
Yay. Here she comes. Thank you, Miss Kelly. Okay. So since you were so honest and wonderful, I will let you choose if you want to be the seller or you want me to be the seller. And the question was, this is the objection. You don't handle many homes at the price. Okay, that's a real objection. Has anybody heard that objection? Because that's a true objection.
Okay.
So here we're going to go through these steps, hear it, cushion it, question it, answer it, confirm it, close on it. You can choose to either be the seller for rating me, or I could be the seller and you can handle it. Which would you prefer?
Oh, I'll be the seller.
She's so smart. That was very brave. Okay, I may not let the next person pick that. Okay,
I know.
so go ahead and throw the objection at me.
Okay. Well, I know that you're rather new in the industry, Carrie, and I know that most of the homes I've seen that you've had listed were more in the $500,000 range, and we're looking at 1.3 million. So I just don't know about you handling this type of sale.
I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from. This is, of course, your home and one of your largest investments. So that makes sense that you're questioning. But let me make sure I understand. So it's really not my experience in marketing. It's really not the things I shared with you, how I'm going to show you all of the things that I'll be doing. It's really the question of how many years I've had in the industry. Is that correct?
Well, yes. I know that you've only been in the industry about a year.
Okay. Does it make a difference that my company's been in the industry since 1744?
Yes. That's good.
So I can appreciate, and that is exactly why I chose to partner with Sotheby's. Their experience of having been in the luxury space since 1744 and building that reputation and having that auction house clientele direct who gets all of our information. So me being a 1-year agent, or if I was a 20-year veteran, all part of Sotheby's gets the same amount of exposure. My listing and the Sotheby's agent who's been in the industry for 30 years, our homes will all go in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Mansion Global, the Juwai in China, and the Nikkei in Japan. And do you not agree that exposure is really what you're paying us for?
I would agree with that. But what about the fact that my home is far and above what you're used to selling?
So you're saying in terms of price point, as I've been in the general real estate, but previously I was in with new home builders where I worked in custom construction. So the difference between myself and perhaps that 20-year veteran is I may not have listed in the MLS a home for 1.3, but I could walk through your home and actually point out the details of quality construction that went into building your home. The reason this type of construction costs more because your home is on one single floor, and it costs much more for the builder to even build on one single floor. You have so much more roofing if you think about your roof line, and I can explain that to consumers who are looking to your home and maybe others in your home and your community that are priced less. Do you not feel it would be a benefit to have somebody who has the experience in construction to be able to show that quality difference to explain why your home costs more?
Yes, I didn't realize that about your background. Thank you.
So that's the fun thing, guys. When you role play, by the way, you could throw stuff out and they have to go with you. So, by the way, it is true too. So, so let me ask you: would you then feel comfortable, even though I've only had 1 year of generalist experience, but I've had 10 years in construction experience? Would you feel comfortable with me being able to represent your home in the best light?
Yes, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable knowing
So
that.
partnering with Sotheby's, a company that's been around since 1744 that has the highest net worth of clientele, that will give your home exposure that nobody will have, and partnering with Premier Sotheby's that will give you the best marketing that no one else. So every piece that we will do, we customize, and not created by me. You're right, I don't have experience in marketing, but my marketing team does. And then having me as your forefront, the one speaking for your home, sharing the quality construction to every person that comes in or everybody that we're sending you the information to. Do you think that would work for you?
I do.
Great. So the question is, you want to start today or Tuesday? Right?
I need to clean up my house.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, who wants to play next? Let's go back to those. If you volunteer yourself, I'll even let you pick the objection. Let's see, here's some of the objections. Here's typical seller objections. You want to do seller or buyer? I think I only have seller on here. Okay. Anybody want to pick one? Luz, which one do you want to do? She's like, dang it.
We still need
you
to
hear
interview
me?
one or more agents.
We still need to interview. Okay, so are you confident? I know you can do it. Do you want to do it being the agent?
Yeah.
Okay. This is, guys, this is an experience for you to practice. This is a good opportunity for you to go through things. So if I stop you, it's a learning experience. Okay, so Lucy, you've been fabulous. I really love everything you said. It's made total sense. We just need to see one more person and then we'll get back to you. Wait,
So
can I stop? Hold on before you get started. Guys, that does not mean you say great, thanks, and you pick up your stuff. All right, I have heard people say, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow up with them. Well, what did they say? They said they're gonna see one other person. Did you try to close them? Right? People don't. They're like, okay, well, that's good. And then they leave. No. This is your time to get started. It's an objection. Okay, sorry. Luce, you've been fabulous. I think everything you've done makes perfect sense. You have a great company. I love it. You're a doll. We just need to interview one more person.
okay, so let me get back to you. So after I have been showing you all the marketing that we are gonna do, all the platform that I'm gonna put advertise your properties and the way that we are gonna handle in Sotheby's, do you want to hear somebody else, or what you don't feel comfortable about taking that decision right now?
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a second. You forgot to cushion it. You forgot to say, I can appreciate how you want to be fair to other people or something like that. So that's your question. So why is it that I want to see somebody else, right? That's your question? That's
Absolutely.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great question. It's just that, you know, I'm that kind of person who I already set an appointment and I really feel that I owe it to that other person to show me what they have. I really don't know what they have. I know that I like your company, but I will feel comfortable making a decision after I've seen everybody.
Even if we have agree with the price that you want to start selling your home today, do you think is anything else that I can do in order to start working with you right now?
I like it. She's trying to close me. The answer is, you know, yeah, I do feel good about the price and all that, but I just, like I said, I just want to make sure. I'm that kind of person who wants to check all avenues before I move forward. I mean, this is important. This is my home, and I just have to make sure that I get the right agent. Guys, there's something going on here. And do you know what it is? Does anybody know?
hasn't addressed one of your concerns, or there's something specifically that you want that
Yes.
isn't been talked
When
about
she
yet?
questioned it, she didn't dig down to find out what the real objection was. You're 100% right. What could be a real objection for this situation? Guys, we've all been there. Who's not been in that situation where they're saying something like that? Come on. What has it come down to? Anybody?
Trust.
Rosanna, what do you think it's going to come down to? Why do they want to see somebody else? What's the real reason?
Oh, they
I think she's looking for somebody experienced who has more.
Could
I
be.
don't know.
Luce has been in the industry for 20 years. I think it's commission. She didn't handle commission. Or maybe she just glazed over commission, right? But I probably 9 out of 10 times, if the seller's saying that, it's about commission. They think the next person's going to give them a better deal, right? Especially if they agreed on the price of the home. If we didn't agree on the price of the home, maybe they don't agree with the price you came up with, right? That could be the reality. So usually if you get that objection, it's one of two things. It's always money. I will tell you, it's always money. Unless the person happens to be a family member, right? That they're supposed to be seeing, which is really fun to handle that objection. So we could do that. But if it's not a family member, really, what kind of real reason do they have to see that person? Like they can't cancel with that person? Can they cancel with their cousin? Can they cancel with their sister? Probably not, right? That could get ugly at family affairs. But they certainly can cancel with somebody they don't know. So my suggestion to you is 9.9% out of every time, it's about one of two things. It's going to be about commission or it's about price of the home. So if I were questioning that, I would say, Luz, we're going to turn the tables a second. Now you're going to be the seller. Okay, Luz?
Okay.
I can appreciate that, of course, selling your home is the largest, one of your largest investments. And you want to make sure you have the right person. Absolutely. But let me ask you, you feel comfortable with all the marketing, correct, that I've shared with you?
Yes, absolutely.
And you really shared with me you liked Sotheby's, so you feel good having Sotheby's represent your home, correct?
Correct.
And we talked about the price of your home. We had mentioned that we thought it would probably come out about $650. Did you feel comfortable with $650?
Yeah, I think it is the right price. Yeah.
Okay. So what is it that you're still not 100% sure on?
Because I really want to interview somebody else.
Right. What is it about that other person? What are you hoping that they're going to tell you differently?
Is there any way that we can negotiate the commission?
Nice. All right, let's be real, guys. And now we have the true objection. Anybody want to try to handle the commission one? These are so much fun. Everybody sits back and gets quiet. Gosh, I love it. It just
I'll be slow.
okay. So go ahead. You gotta come on.
Okay, so we're gonna handle the commission.
Commission. Can you hear Tony?
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, Luce, you're still the seller. Okay.
Okay, what
She just asked you the question. No, now listen, you're already in it. You already did the cushioning hearing. You're in it. Now you get to the real objection. She wants to negotiate the commission.
Yeah, what I'm looking
Which
for.
tells me what, guys? You didn't go through my listing presentation. You did not close on commission. Right? If she's still thinking that she wants to negotiate commission, you didn't do a good job closing on commission, which is why I do a very specific thing for commission. And that is really important. The people and there's a lot of people, listen, you don't have to admit to it. If you want to, go ahead. I love it. When you do tell the truth, it's really fun. But there are a lot of people that if it doesn't come up, they don't address commission. They're like, oh, they'll see it in the listing agreement. And then they don't say anything. They're like, I passed that one. Okay, we're good. And then guess what? They're going to hit you with commission. So don't be the person who thinks that you never, ever get out of a listing presentation without addressing commission. It will come back to bite you one way or another. So make sure you address that commission. Okay, so go ahead.
So what is it about the commission that I didn't completely explain to you?
I think you're on mute. Can you hear him?
Yes.
I can hear him.
Okay, go ahead.
So where in explaining to you exactly, how we're compensated that you had any questions about?
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that I'm willing to pay no more than 5% commission.
You're willing to pay, you said that you were only willing to pay 5% commission. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. And I want everything that you say to me that the
What'd you say?
I want everything that you told me you were gonna give me.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you, so if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're telling me is that as long as you get everything that we say we're going to give to you, and you love all of that, but you would rather be at 5% as opposed to 6%?
correct. Yeah, 5%. Yeah.
Okay, so usually 6% is usually the standard because I've got to pay the other person just in case they beat me to the punch and bring you a buyer for your home before I do. I've got to pay that person. And typically we do that with 3% and 3%, they get us to 6. But what I can do is this, if this makes you feel comfortable, how would you feel about if I brought the buyer and the also being your seller? Would it make you feel better if I reduce the commission if I handle both sides of the transaction at 5? And leaving you being able to pay the other well-deserving agent the 3% for bringing you your customer at the price that you agreed upon? How does that sound?
So you are trying to tell me if you represent the buyer, you just gonna charge me 5%?
That's what I'm saying to you is that I can actually, we still have to pay the other broker or the other agent, excuse me, that's bringing someone. So typically we do that with 3% because let's be honest, most people out there, if they're not going to get compensated the 3% that they would normally expect as an industry standard for bringing a buyer to your home, they're probably not going to want to show your home to a well-qualified buyer, and neither one of us want that. So more than likely, if it's at 6% and they bring us a buyer, guess what? I get compensated, they get compensated, and everybody's happy. You're going to get the best quality of buyers. So my question to you is, how would you feel as if I brought you a buyer? I'll reduce the 5%, but if not, we got to pay the other agent what they deserve. Wouldn't you agree? That's fair?
Yeah, I think that is fair. So let us put it in writing. If you
Okay.
bring it up, I'm just gonna pay
Time
for
out.
it.
All right, where'd I mess up?
Okay, but so actually good, but you jumped to it. And yeah, so you didn't explore more, and you didn't explore more. You just answered it. So here, we're gonna try it, Luz, you and me, ready?
Okay.
So Luz, let me make sure I understand. You love everything I'm doing. You think that the company is amazing. You understand all the exposure you're going to be getting. You understand all of the amazing magazines, newspapers, and internet sites you're going to be in all over the world, correct?
Correct, yeah.
You feel fabulous with the marketing. You feel terrific with the negotiation that I'll be able to do, but you're concerned about the 5%. Is that correct?
Correct.
So let me ask you, what is it about the 5%? Is it the money that says 5% on the page that's called your closing statement where you see 5%, or is it the money you get in your pocket when you leave the closing table? What is more important to you?
Money that I'm getting in my pocket because I have a budget and we're gonna buy another property, and we need that money. So
I
that's
completely understand. Can you understand that for us to find the buyer, to go outside the area, it gives us the opportunity to get a more qualified buyer? Does that make sense to you? And that costs money because the New York Times isn't free. The Wall Street Journal isn't free. The Mansion Global isn't free. All of these sites aren't free, but we are willing to put more money in because we know to get you the highest price in the least amount of time for you with the least amount of effort, it's to give you the best exposure. So if you were paying a little bit more for the exposure, but you got more money in the price of your home, would you feel comfortable with that?
yeah, definitely yes.
Right? So we could definitely do 6% as long as your net came in somewhere about where do we need to be?
Yeah. Or can we increase the property, the price of the property in 10,000 more, or probably?
You see, guys, this is where we get into the negotiating. Where do we feel the price is? Do we feel that we do have wiggle room? Do we feel we don't? But the reality is that is the most important question. What makes more to them? What means more to them? The number on the net sheet that says they're paying 5% commission, or the amount of money that they get in their pocket when they get to leave. That is the most important thing to them. And when they can appreciate it's the amount of money that they get in their pocket, it costs us money to be in all these newspapers and all these internet ads all over the world. It costs money for that kind of exposure. But would you rather have, Luz, let me ask you, who would you rather buy your home? Somebody who lives here locally, who has plenty of time, who knows the market and who can negotiate, or someone who's from out of the area, out of the state, maybe even out of the country, who needs to move here, who sees your home maybe even online and is ready to purchase your home, probably even cash. Which customer would you rather have?
Definitely somebody out of the area.
So it makes more money than to spend extra money on marketing. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? So you got to hammer it down more before you get into, I'm not saying I'm opposed to doing both sides. And if I bring both sides 5%, I don't care. You can do that any day long. Don't jump to it. He went to it too soon. Here's another one. I love this one. So Luce, would you say that one of the most important things about the person who represents your home is how well they can negotiate? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You are so smart. You are so clever. You are testing me already. I mean, my gosh, if I can't even negotiate with you, how can I possibly negotiate with the buyers coming in to sell your home? Of course I won't lower my commission. That's just a fun one, guys. That has worked very, very well. By the way, you cannot speak after that one. The next person who speaks loses. So that's a fun one too. But the reality for me is with the commission, it's hammering down, what is it about the dollars? Right? If they get the dollars at the closing, why do they care how much they're spending in commission? In some instances, you might say, well, then you know what? We might want to add a bonus to really see if we can get your home sold at a higher price. Right? So maybe we raise the price of the home, but we add a bonus, but we have to be flexible. We have to test the market and see what happens. Don't overprice the home. Don't overpromise something you can't do, guys. I'm not telling you to do that. I do not believe in taking an overpriced listing. We only take listings that are sellable. Right? There's no sense in overpricing a listing. But if we think if we're $10,000 away, right, with our marketing, could we not connect with our Sotheby's, make sure that we're following up, we're doing boosted ads. We have the tools and resources to see if the market will adjust to that price. $10,000, if you're $500,000-$600,000, you could totally do that. Would that make sense to you? Wouldn't it be worth to try that first before you just cut your commission?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I cut my commission immediately, now do I even want to represent both sides? Not really.
No.
I just took a price decrease, right?
Right.
So, I think it's really important. If you're not willing to work for your commission, how hard are you going to work for theirs? It's true. Right? Oh, that person just is offering, it's a good deal. Okay, we're 10,000 less, but let's just get this thing closed. It's a good deal. Did you try to come back? Did you try to counter? I mean, come on, guys. Those of you who are seasoned agents, we're negotiators, right? We go to battle for our sellers, don't we?
Yeah.
Go to battle for yourself. It's your money in your pocket. Don't give up your commission. You could also get creative. Let's say we had a situation where it was, I think it was 4.9 million. It was a high price. And he wanted to do 5%. And we're like, no. So this is what we said. We said, you know what? You can appreciate, correct, the cost that it takes and incurs to expose your home all over the world, correct? And you understand the need for that. But if we could sell your home quicker, we could do it for more money. So we said, okay, we'll be willing to do it for 90 days, putting everything in for 6%. If at 90 days, we haven't brought a contract in, we will drop our commission to 5.5%. Or whatever. So we did an incremental. We were 1 day away from the 6%. Damn it. You could talk to Lynn about that. But you could be creative, right? Don't just give in and drop your commission. By the way, if you're doing 5%, does that mean you're automatically cutting the other side to 2.5%?
No.
Right? That doesn't do anything good for them either. If you're in a community where there's a lot of homes for sale and a lot of them are at 3%, which you should have done that in your homework before you go, right? If you cut it down to 5%, you're just mean to say, I'm taking 2.5, they're taking 2.5. You just cut their chance of selling their home. So then you can say, listen, I can appreciate that. I understand I want to get you that home that you want to buy in Tennessee, and I understand the cost of that. But what about this? We want to make sure, that people want to show your home. And could you appreciate if your neighbors are offering 3% to another agent to show it, and we're only offering 2.5? Do you think we'll get the same amount of people showing your home? Liz?
No.
Right. So I don't want to do that to you. I know that's what agents do, but that's not fair to you. So I tell you what, If I bring both sides, then that's fine. If I don't, if you're going to drop your commission at all, we could say we'll do it for 5.5%. We're still going to give 3 to the other side, but I myself will take a cut to 2.5%. Could you do it that way?
Yeah.
Right? So be very, very careful if you're going to drop commission at all. And by the way, I hope you would have fought tooth and nail really, really hard before you just drop your commission. Because the reality is, it costs money to do what we do, and nobody does what we do. Nobody. So, any questions on that? Okay, we're going to go to there's a lot I can talk about that one, but let's try. Do we have time? Yeah, let's look at one more. Here's an objection. We have a good friend in the business.
No.
Love that one, right? Who has not heard that one? We have a good friend in the business. Don't you love that? You hear that at the end when you're saying, so when do you want to get started? Tuesday or Thursday? How you doing? So here we go. Who wants to try that one? We have a good friend in the business. Okay, Rafe, you're on, my friend. You're like, dang it. I told you I'm going to torture you. I told you on purpose.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna throw that one at me.
Okay, you want to try
I can
that
feel
one?
it. Sure.
Okay, Rafe, you've been fabulous. I love everything you showed us. Thank you so much for coming. But you know, we actually have a really good friend in the business, so I think we're going to go with them.
Oh, that's fantastic. I understand how you feel about that, having a good friend in the business.
Fantastic.
However, who is it that they work for, and what is it that they can bring to the table for you that is so different from what I can bring to the table for you?
You know, it's actually cousin, and they work for Keller Williams, and you know, they do everything you do.
Okay, that's great. So Keller Williams, obviously, given the nature of the type of house that this is, do you really want to be having those kinds of conversations with a family member when we're talking about finances and things of that nature? Do you feel comfortable in that position with your cousin?
Well, that's a good point. You know, I didn't really think about it like that. I don't know. That was good, guys. Keep going. Got me on the run. I said, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that.
So ultimately, when you think about those things, in any transaction of this nature, there's going to be back and forth negotiating. There's going to be expectations that you have. Are you going to be comfortable speaking to your family member about the things that you specifically need? Can you be open and honest in that situation and not worry about, hurting their feelings?
Oh yeah, her feelings. You know, she's got a tough skin. She's fine.
Well, that's important. That's important in this game, right? Because ultimately, it's all about having tough skin and being able to push back. But are they going to be able to fight for you day in and day out when push comes to shove on this, or try to just talk you into getting those sales so they can move on? My objective for you. Go ahead, sorry.
She's good with people. I think she'll be a good person. She'll represent us well. Okay, there's a big one missing here that Rafe missed. What did Rafe do? He jumped right into answering it. You didn't question it. You cushioned it. Fantastic was a funny start with that one, but then you cushioned it, right? I can appreciate you have a friend or family member in the business, but you never questioned it. You jumped right into answering it, didn't you?
Okay.
That's the number one thing most people do, so don't feel bad. Everybody does it. Okay, what would be a question here?
I would ask, is their cousin or family member, are they going to be able to put them in the New York Times and advertise them with the same level that Sotheby's offers?
Great, love that. But that's kind of part of your answer. The question is getting down to the true question about, you ready? Here's my question. I'm just not going to torture you guys any further. Here's the question. So, Rafe, I can appreciate that your cousin's a realtor. That's great. Out of curiosity, how long they've been in the business?
About 18 months.
Fabulous, great. But just out of curiosity, just so I understand we're on the same page, if you were planning on going with your cousin, why did you bring me here today?
I like to keep my options open.
So what was it about working with your cousin, been in the business for 18 months, that's not your concern to make another agent.
It's a very good question.
Right, guys? All you guys are answering it. You're telling them about our exposure. You're telling them, I think what you did, right? It's true. People feel very uncomfortable sharing personal information, especially financial information with a family member. But let's get to the reality. Put them on the hot spot, right? The whole point of the questioning is put them in the hot seat and make them answer to you. I mean, the reality, if you knew that you were going to go with your cousin, why would you bring in? We know they had questions. We know they weren't comfortable with something. Let's get them to tell us what they're not comfortable with. Then we answer it based on the fact that they just told us what they're comfortable about. Right?
That makes sense.
Does that make sense? So they're going to tell us what they're needing, and then we just answer it. It's so simple, right? But if we go right to answering it, we're guessing about what they need. We're guessing about what it is that they don't feel comfortable with, right? And could be right, could be wrong. So you brought up a good one, Rafe, with the fact that, you know, giving the financial information to somebody who's a family, a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that. Another great way to say is a feel felt found. It's so funny. I understand exactly how you feel. I have actually customers that almost do the same thing, Sue and Tom, and they started actually with their cousin. And you know what they found? They found that they actually started to really get angry at their cousin, and they didn't want to share things with their cousin. And it was starting to create a really negative, relationship between them, and they didn't want that to happen. So they ended up canceling with their cousin, and they called me. And they found that they are great friends with their cousin still, and they got their home sold, right? I would do a feel felt found when they came from that. Because if you do it too straight on, it could be a little intimidating. We never want to feel that we're fighting, right? When you're in a negotiation situation with a customer, you should be beside them. You don't want to be across from them. If you're across from them, you're at odds, right? So like with the home builders, I always tell people sit right next to your customer, because who they're at odds with was me, the regional director, right? It's the broker. She's a pain in the neck. I don't care. You can make me the bad guy. We're in cahoots together. We're going to do this together. We're a team. You know, I have to get that through my broker. You know, my broker never lets me do that. Let me be the bad guy. I don't care. But as soon as you're on the other side, well, is this what they're going to do? Are they going to do what we're going to do? You are now at odds, right? So better for them to tell you what they wanted, the reason that they called you. And then you just say, well, I can appreciate that. Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense that you want worldwide exposure. Who wouldn't want one of those buyers who's dying to get out of New York, who has probably cash to buy your home? Right? It's a question now, right? And now it's not combative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to say that was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you all for being here. Does anybody have any questions? We're going to do closing techniques, but I would love instead, if I could get people to commit to coming here, I'd really like to do an objection handling showdown. So do I have takers for coming into Dr. Phillips next week so we can separate you into teams and actually do this? You could call in a lifeline. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'll do it. I'm in.
All right, got Tony, got Rafe. Luce, can you come? Wait, you're on mute.
Can we pick team captains?
I'll be there, Carrie.
Hosanna, can you come?
Yes.
Woo. All right.
That's in a home inspection.
Okay. And Christine, can you come, Acosta?
Yes.
Yeah, you come? Yeah.
Yes.
Kelly, can you come?
I will bring all my objections for you.
Martha, please do.
Yeah, a list. Okay, be ready.
It's objection handling showdowns for you guys to practice, but I never have a problem getting in the hot seat, guys. I love handling objections. It's a little sickness of mine. I'll admit to that. It's a little weird, but I really love handling objections. I think it's fun, but you got to practice. You know, as an opera singer, I can sight read anything. Give me something, I can sight read it. Would I go in front of the Metropolitan Opera House, which would be a dream, and sight read? Oh my God, that would be something I have nightmares about for the next, however many years. No, you want to be perfect. That's how it is when you're at a listing presentation. You want to be seamless. You want to be on point. You got to practice for that. If you just come to trainings and you hear it, it doesn't mean that you're ready. You have to get it in your muscle memory. You have to try it. You have to get these things to come out. You have to get embarrassed to not be embarrassed when you're there, right? Get outside of your comfort zone. Get uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. Does that make sense? And this will help you in everything you do. So I'm going to suggest that this week, before we do our objection handling showdown next week, if somebody throws an objection at you, try, hear it, cushion it, question it, right? Then you answer it only after you've questioned it. Then you confirm that that makes sense, and then you close them. Sound good? Okay. Thanks for coming, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank
Sounds
you.
great.
Bye.
Bye-bye.